I'd like to thank you for inviting me on the show. It's such an honour to be here, and I'd just like to say that when I'm not playing Xbox with my mate Thor, I really like to listen to my favourite podcast, Pop Culture Pasta. Hey, Doug! Doug! Oh, that's right, Doug's dead.
Pop Culture Pastor.
All right, Cody. Apparently you had an adventure last night.
Did. It's what happens when you go to Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, Cody and Geek of the Round Table, DJ Dangerfield, went to WWE Raw in Kansas City last night. They didn't take me.
We will next time.
I don't even know if I was invited. I don't remember the invite.
I feel there might have been, but then also you weren't at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's true. Probably. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have gone.
Rude.
I mean, I would like to hang out with you guys, but yeah. Anyways, I heard there was an adventure.
It was a buddy cop movie, essentially.
In a jewelry store?
As two guys do.
Is this something you want to tell your wife? Does she listen to the pod? Does your wife listen to the pod?
My wife does. I don't know if DJ's does. So I might have to keep everything hush hush.
There was nothing going on. Did I say jewelry store? I meant the hot dog stand.
Yes.
They went to a hot dog stand to get a Chicago dog in Kansas City.
Things got crazy. Bows were nearly thrown.
Cody almost got in a fight with an old lady. That part's true. An old lady who got physical with him.
She did.
That's crazy. That's wild.
Aggressive sales tactics.
I think we need to have, like, when we start more YouTube stuff, that has to be a thing. We're like bonus pop culture pastor stories.
I think you would want to have DJ tell it and then me do like, this is what really happened.
Cody, the voice of reason. All right. Well, this is Pop Culture Pastor. My name is Dave. Cody's here.
I am. And just know Leo DiCaprio started half of this fallout.
Yeah. Listen, we're not going to go over the whole story.
No.
But apparently you don't mention blood diamonds in Kay's jewelry.
Nope.
Kay Jewelers? Jewelers, yes.
Yes.
Because they take that stuff seriously.
As they should. But at the same time, I thought like everyone stopped that practice like 20 years ago. I
would know, man. About my extent of knowledge of jewelry comes from probably the Leo DiCaprio movie. That's probably it for me.
Well, that's all you need.
All right. Well, we always start with news, Cody. And I've got some interesting stories. I think I picked a few good ones. There was a story that came out today about a possible Freddie Mercury and Michael Jackson duet.
No, thank you.
What do you mean, no, thank you?
If it wasn't released while they both were alive, no, thank you.
There's a reason it wasn't released. It didn't happen. I'm telling you, it almost happened.
Yeah, then I definitely don't want it.
Okay, just to be clear, you wouldn't want it if they actually collaborated, like two of the most incredible singing voices of all time?
If it wasn't released while they were alive, I don't want it.
Well, I understand that. The story came out today of why it didn't happen. I don't know if they were doing, like, if it came from a documentary or what. But apparently, Cody, if I could tell the story, in 1983, during a break between Thriller and Bad for Michael Jackson, and just before Freddie Mercury's Live Aid comeback, the two legends attempted to record together, and they laid down early versions of three songs: Victory, State of Shock, and There Must Be More to Life Than This. But despite this conglomeration, this hookup, and them going through early sessions of it, it never led to the official release, as you have pointed out. The sessions apparently were derailed. Okay, according to Joe Burt, bassist for Freddie Mercury's solo album, Mr. Bad Guy, the tipping point was Michael Jackson bringing his pet llama, Louie, into the studio.
Yeah, Louie.
Freddie apparently took umbrage and called Queen's manager in distress. He said, quote, "Miami, dear, get me out of here. I'm recording with a llama." So the vibe, it seems, was not good between the two.
I was wondering if Bubbles was there.
Bubbles? Apparently, Bubbles the chimp did not make the trip with Mike, but he did bring his llama Louie, which sounds like a children's cartoon. But Jackson, is kind of famous for his exotic pets. Also, as Cody referenced, had a chimp named Bubbles that he took to the Grammys and the Oscars, I believe, when he went with Brooke Shields. Him and Brooke Shields were a thing. You may not remember this because of your deep foray into the 80s.
I lived the 80s, Dave.
He also had an elephant named Ali and tigers named Thriller and Cebu. Look, I'm not going to sing the VeggieTales song, but that's immediately what I go to. Meanwhile, Freddie went on to make more Queen records and gave that legendary Live Aid performance in 1985. The abandoned tracks were later reworked solo or with other artists, but the true duet versions remain mythical and were meant to be performed with Michael Jackson. State of Shock, you heard of that one?
Nope.
That's a song that got released. It was supposed to be with Mike. It ended up being recorded with Mick Jagger. Boy, that's quite the step down.
It is.
All due respect to Mick.
Like, out of the 60s British bands, Mick's probably towards the bottom of lead singers. Well, I might have even taken Ringo over Mick. That's a burn.
His duet version of There Must Be More to Life Than This was eventually released posthumously with Queen in 2014.
Yep, I'm not about that.
Now, okay, can we stop here for a second? What is your problem with posthumous releases? What's the problem with this?
So,
I assume you haven't bought any one of Tupac's 6 CDs since his death.
I have not. I remain loyal to
Pac. You're a Pac loyalist?
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But no. So if he had recorded it and it was set to release and he died right before the release, I wouldn't have any issue with it. But since we're 20 years removed at least from his death when it is released, there's some reimagining going on. And I don't know if Freddie would have wanted the version of the vocals that we get to be released.
Okay. I see what's happening here. We have an early visit from cynical Cody. That's what's happening here.
We do. And also capitalist Cody, because clearly 95% of these are cash grabs.
But if they laid down the tracks and they just never finished the song, why not finish it? Why not? Prince had thousands of tracks that he laid down and never really finished.
If he never released them and or finished them, that tells you they weren't meant for public consumption. Honor Prince's legacy and don't go deep diving.
I mean, look, I love Prince, but about half the stuff he did put out, I feel like wasn't probably meant for public consumption.
That's how Prince rolled.
The llama moment is part of the 2012 documentary Freddie Mercury, The Great Pretender. By the way, it makes its way into that documentary. And apparently when they interviewed this Joe Burt for something and he brought it up again. And so I saw some headlines for it. Cody, which is the greatest tragedy in music history? The death of Freddie Mercury, the shelving of these duets, or the fact that a llama was the reason they didn't happen? A llama is the reason I don't have Freddie Mercury, Michael Jackson songs to listen to.
I think the llama makes it more interesting. So the llama won't be the answer here.
I mean, what was Mike doing? Was he running his own Noah's Ark experiment? What was happening? Why do you have all these animals?
He did a great job naming them.
I think Bubbles had beef with Brooke Shields.
Probably.
Cody, next week. So this week's podcast, obviously, we're doing a Be Kind Rewind because Revenge of the Sith was re-released in theaters for a weekend.
Revenge of the Fifth.
Which we're going to get to. It naturally drops in the weekend of May the 4th be with you.
Yes. Or Revenge of the Fifth, which we celebrate on Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. Yes, it's different cultures.
Yes.
Different cultures. But next week, since Thunderbolts also drops this weekend, we will have our review of Thunderbolts.
Not the same as Thundercats.
Although I would love to see that too. If we wanted to make a Thundercats movie, I'm here for it. Who would play Lion-O?
That's a good question.
Panthro is obviously Samuel L. Jackson. Because I would love to just see a foul mouth talking Panthro.
Yeah.
But he's probably a little too old. But Lion-O, I mean, who we going with it? Is that Goss? Is that the Gosling? He's going to be busy with the Star Wars, apparently.
Maybe you go with another Ryan and go Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds as Lion-O. I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it. Anyways, Thunderbolts, Cody.
Jack Black.
It is the embargo has lifted, and a lot of the reviews are coming out now. All the people that got to see it at the premiere. Thunderbolts certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with an 80 as of right now, as of recording this, 88% rating based on 89 reviews. That's higher than any Marvel movie in quite some time. It's officially earned the coveted certified fresh badge, which puts it in the same critical ballpark as Doctor Strange, the first one, 89%. Infinity War, which was only 85%.
That seems right.
I thought Infinity War was better than Endgame.
I agree, but maybe Endgame gets overrated because it's higher than Infinity.
And Civil War at 90%, so it's like just below Civil War. Listen, if it's in the ballpark of those films, we maybe have a win for the MCU in a phase marked with many misfires now. Last of which was Captain America: Brave New World, which we did a pod over. You can go back and listen to that. We didn't hate it, but we didn't like it.
I have had several people say to me, "What are the Thunderbolts?"
Yeah, well, it's tricky because there's several iterations in the comics. And this, apparently the one that we're going to get in this movie is a totally new iteration with some elements of a little of each of them, you know?
Yes. And so I tried to explain it and they're like, oh, I don't know if that sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the premise. I think they're keeping it under wraps for a reason. Like they want this to be as fresh as possible for people. I've seen a lot of people. You
don't want to spoil any big twists or anything.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people compare it to Suicide Squad in DC. It's, I guess, in that there's some former bad guys on the team, but it was kind of different in that the Suicide Squad was more about like mercenaries, like hired by the government, right? Whereas Thunderbolts was more like the version I'm familiar with. Norman Osborn put them together to pretend to be the Avengers. It was all part of a villainous plot. So they weren't like out there doing good things. But then there were versions of the Thunderbolts later on that kind of did. That was more like Suicide Squad. So I don't know. And I'm not really super familiar with a lot of them.
That also was another thing that got brought up. Like, who are these people?
Yeah, you just go see the movie. I'm sure they'll give us enough of a backstory to refamiliarize people with them.
This is Nat's sister and dad.
So while Thunderbolts features lesser known heroes to the general public, a high critic score could boost this needs because of a positive word of mouth. They still have a loyal fan base, Marvel does. And when there's a high Rotten Tomato score, that does factor. It does have a factor.
Well, it also doesn't hurt that even though the characters might not be big names, some of the actors within it are. Not to just skip on over Florence Pugh, everyone's sweetheart, Florence Pugh.
Yeah, everyone loves Florence Pugh.
Yeah, pew pew.
And a lot of people make that weird sound effect when they talk about her. I would be embarrassed to.
Not over here, buddy.
Social media reactions have been overwhelmingly positive before the embargo lifted. Like the initial reactions where they couldn't review it, but they could say if they liked it or not.
This is good.
Yeah, and that's good because early reactions aligning with the critic consensus is what hasn't been happening. So for every movie, those first people that see it while the embargo is still there are usually plants. They're usually like people that like everything that the studio is going to put out. Gee, I wonder why. So, Cody, this is the first Marvel movie in a while that's breaking that fresh barrier on Rotten Tomatoes. Is the MCU finally back, or is just a happy accident between multiverse meltdowns?
I'm going to withhold my opinion until we watch it / get that initial box office total, just because there is a point that you brought up, and you have brought it up multiple times, and I don't know if it can be measured based off the Thunderbolts, but brand damage.
Yeah. I don't know if it can be measured on Thunderbolts either, because like you said, not as many people know them, but certainly with Fantastic Four, we'll get some answers.
Oh yeah.
And, but that one's tracking well. And for what it's worth, this one's tracking well. Like, it's tracking right now for 150 million opening weekend, which would be far and away better than anything Marvel's done in the recent years.
Don't you long for the days of yore?
Yeah. All right. We are going to go to our main subject in just a couple seconds. We are here to do a Be Kind Rewind on Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. We'll be right back. Chosen one. You were supposed to bring balance to the podcast, not destroy it. I loved you. I got the high ground, Cody. Don't try it.
You know I'm going to send it, which is what I wish he would have said.
All right. We are back, and we are here to do a Be Kind Rewind
and sabotage the podcast.
Why are you going to sabotage the podcast? Or that's just what you generally do?
All the above.
You're going to sabotage this podcast?
That's how I roll.
Oh, okay. I don't know how you can sabotage it, because it's not like, as I was watching this, I'm not sitting here watching this movie thinking this is a masterpiece of cinema.
It is Citizen Kane.
It's the Citizen Kane of the prequels. I might go with that.
You know, watching it, I'm like, I might enjoy the second one better. But I'm not putting myself through it to see if I do.
This will be the second of the 3 prequels that we've done a Be Kind Rewind on. And I think the only one we haven't done is episode 2. And I think that was on purpose because
Jar Jar Binks.
I seem to remember episode 2 being the worst. But I was telling someone on Facebook yesterday that I actually think I've watched episode 2 the most. And I think it was just because I was trying to will it to be better. Which you just can't. It's just so bad.
It might be my wife's favorite if it has Jar Jar Binks in it the most.
Oh, no. She's a Jar Jar groupie.
Yeah.
She's a Jar Jar fan. Wow. Okay.
Someone has to be.
Obviously, this is directed by George Lucas. Estimated budget of $113 million. Can you believe that? When you watch this movie, there's a lot of things we're going to talk about in this movie that don't hold up very well, I'm assuming. But it ain't the effects. It ain't the look. Man, this movie is beautiful.
Watching it, I had kind of qualms just because, like, you have the original trilogy and the look's different. Mm-hmm. And
it looks older even though it's in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you could chalk it up potentially to there's an evil fascist regime that is overseeing the galaxy. But
it's like Cuba. Because, like Cuba, technology-wise, was stuck with Fidel. Mm-hmm. And, like, they had old cars, because they couldn't get imported things in the country. So, like, yeah, that would be a good example. But I do think George Lucas was aware of that, and that's why he did the special editions, but everybody hated them.
Yep.
Just yep? You don't have anything else to add to that? You didn't like the special editions at all? There wasn't some part of you that thought, oh, this is kind of cool. I didn't get the uproar. I went and saw all the special editions when they released them in the theater.
I want Luke to be walking through someone's tail.
That was Han.
Or Han,
and
yeah.
he steps over his tail. Listen, the best part is the changed song in Return of the Jedi with the guy that goes, sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Total Recall. Like, what was happening there? I liked the old song. No disrespect. That's terrible Max Rebo band slander.
I'm glad someone stood up for the just cause of the band.
So it had an estimated budget of $113 million, originally released on May 19th, 2005. That's literally 10 days before my wedding.
Oh, so you got married on my mom's birthday?
May 29th.
Yep.
2005.
My mom wasn't born that day.
Oh, no.
That year.
No. Of course not. That was her birthday.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't remember that being that close together, but I'm sure I saw this opening weekend. I mean, I can almost guarantee it.
Bachelor party.
The re-release this past weekend, the film returned to theaters on April 25th, 2025 for a 1-week engagement in select U.S. and international cinemas, including the AMC, Alamo Drafthouse, Cinemark, Regal, and our very own Roxy Theater here in Chanute, Kansas.
Yeah.
We get all the big flicks.
That was one.
We don't get all the big flicks. Also, they released a version of it in the 4DX experience. Have you been to any movies in the 4DX?
Not the full 4DX. So
yeah, so it had motion synced seats and over 21 environmental effects.
I assumed they were pouring lava on you.
Some poor guy lost his legs and then was like, I hate you. No. And talk about the Force being alive and well. Revenge of the Sith did very, very well at the box office last weekend. Just beat out The Accountant to take in a $25.2 million to come in second and score one of the top openings ever for a re-release, Cody.
I am a little upset with it.
Why is that? Because it's not in more than 1 week?
No.
What?
We had the original film Sinners.
Mm-hmm.
We had an original franchise in the Accountant franchise.
Yeah, The Accountant 2. I should have said it was 2.
You're creeping in on other things that could have gotten more buzz and more money, so then studios can keep making new and original content instead of force feeding me the prequels.
Man. Now, hipster Cody just showed up. He doesn't want any of this big name stuff. I mean, come on. Like, nobody thought Sinners was going to do what it's doing.
I did.
No, before you saw it?
Yes.
Stop it.
Whenever Michael B. and Ryan Coogler team up, better known as the Cougs, it is box office gold.
I mean, you think Cody was best friends? He's like, Michael B. and the Cougs, we hang out all the time. I just knew it. I knew it, man. Revenge of the Sith grossed 17 more million overseas, so a total haul of 42.2 million. 20th anniversaries. The prequels, while divisive at the time, Cody, have grown more appreciated in recent years by your generation, kids who grew up with them, considering them their preferred Star Wars trilogy. Cody,
that is gross.
They're apparently not your preferred trilogy.
No. And you're going to get contrarian Cody and capitalist Cody talking about.
I am here for this because this is as close to as pop culture snob as I've ever heard Cody. This is great. Go on.
So
tear him down. Why do millennials suck, Cody? I didn't say it. Not me. His words, not mine.
I was thinking more George Lucas, but I see why millennials love it because, like, oh, this is like something our parents went and watched in theaters, the original trilogy. This is something that we were brought up with potentially, although my family wasn't huge Star Wars people, and I didn't go watch any of these films in theater.
Wow.
I'm watching them with friends, but when they announced they were going to release a prequel trilogy, even then, young Cody knew this is a cash grab.
Like 10-year-old Cody, cash grab. Such a cash grab.
It is. And it's annoying because, like, George Lucas and Lucasfilms had two of the most perfect trilogies to ever exist. It had Star Wars and it had Indiana Jones. And literally, you had so much time pass from them. And they had a cult following. People were buying the VHS tapes. And then when DVDs came out, we bought them on DVD. And then when Blu-rays came out, we bought them on Blu-ray. And now we have the steel books. And like, no, they're perfect. Leave them alone.
Yeah. Honest question. If the prequels are better, like if they're just hits, if they're the same feeling for millennials as they are for the old, my generation as the original trilogy, does Lucas ever sell Lucasfilm to Disney?
No.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he only sells to Disney because of the mixed reaction, because there were so many people that had such an adverse reaction to these.
Mm-hmm. And what we learn is, George, please hire someone to write some dialogue.
Oh man, yeah, we're gonna get there, but man, the dialogue. This has been a big past weekend at the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood. Fans were thrilled by unexpected appearances from Hayden Christensen and Samuel L. Jackson.
That would be a cool experience.
Yeah, it would be. Jackson, of course, humorously teased the possibility of Mace Windu, saying Mace lives. There's been a lot of that kind of posturing by fans because they would like them to make a series where Mace Windu didn't die. You know, that he fell. All we do is we see him fall. We don't actually
Mace
see him
out
again.
the window.
Nice one.
Yeah.
And Hayden Christensen had an emotional reception. He's recently reprised his role as Anakin in both the Ahsoka and the Kenobi series. He appeared visibly moved by the fans' enthusiastic response. That's been the best part for me of what Star Wars we have gotten recently is the return of Hayden Christensen, because I think he got an unfair shake. Him and Jake Lloyd both. We talked a lot about Jake Lloyd in the Phantom Menace rewatch.
If you played Annie, it was a rough go for you.
Yeah. And people forget, like, Hayden Christensen was 19 when he filmed this movie.
Also, I don't think that it's on him that the backstory to Darth Vader didn't live up to your expectations.
Yeah. All right, the movie. So essentially, the movie is the end of the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars have been going on in between episodes 2 and 3.
Thanks, Jar Jar.
Yeah, we get like the very tail end, basically, where the opening scene is the hostage situation. They have Palpatine, Count Dooku. They're flying around trying to get to the main spaceship, and it ends up in a fight between Anakin and Count Dooku, and Anakin kills him off with his head. Which my 6-year-old, I watched this with my 6-year-old because he loves Star Wars, especially the original trilogy, which should make you happy. Cody.
Good.
He doesn't watch the prequels much. And he saw that and he like literally did a double take. He was like, whoop. Did that just happen? I was like, yeah, it did. But it's basically the story of how Anakin is seduced to the dark side by Chancellor Palpatine, who will end up being Emperor Palpatine, and how the Jedi fall. Essentially, that's this whole movie. I don't know why we needed 3 hours to tell it almost, but
it was epically long. And the version I watched had commercials.
No! All right, so let's Muppetize this thing before we get into it. Cody, you want to go first?
This is where I sabotaged the show.
Oh.
Because I'm blending.
You're blending? What is
like
blending?
Jim Henson-esque projects.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
I'm taking Big Bird to be General Grievous.
That's actually perfect.
It is. And then this is the part where it goes off the rails. Adult Annie is going to be played by Elmo.
Okay, why?
Because then it also works in the first of the prequels.
So Elmo can be Anakin throughout.
Yes.
All right. And then it's like, listen, that's quite the contrast. That's quite the turn. When he goes bad,
Yes.
I mean, you're going to ruin some kids.
But there's also that meme of Elmo with the fire. So I hate you. Miss Piggy as Padme. Yoda is Kermit. Waldorf is Palpatine. Statler is Count Dooku.
Oh, man, you get a bunch of them.
I am keeping Ewan.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's who I'm keeping too. You got to keep Ewan McGregor.
I almost kept Samuel L.
That would have also been funny. But I've kept Ewan McGregor as well as Obi-Wan. I'm going with Gonzo as Anakin because I just think of the true to the dark side and that, you know, his slide to the dark side of that last fight between Ewan and Gonzo. And I just kind of giggle. You underestimate my power. Like, that just makes me giggle. I think that would be hilarious. Sam the Eagle as Palpatine.
I almost did Sam the Eagle.
Yeah, he'd just be perfect. And then this is my big one. Old Muppet Yoda from the original trilogy as Yoda. Because forget you, CGI.
I went Kermie because they're the same voice.
I might have to look that up. I don't believe it. Not now. Don't look it up now.
I'm looking it up now. You go on with your casting.
That was it. That was all my casting. I'm done.
So Frank Oz.
Frank Oz was Yoda. Mm-hmm.
Also is definitely Miss Piggy.
I thought Jim Henson was Kermit.
Well, Jim Henson isn't Kermit now.
Well, obviously. Was Frank Oz Yoda in the prequels? I suppose he was, probably. So who's Kermit now?
Well, let me get to a modern Muppet movie.
I think you're wrong.
I probably am.
This is solid podcasting right here.
It is. Oh, yep, you were right. It is Steve Whitmire.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You
Not
were right.
Stephen Whitmire, the first part.
You were right.
Yeah!
But Miss Piggy and Yoda are the same voice.
Okay, close enough. Let's just move on.
That was a waste of time.
All right, Cody, what holds up?
The lightsaber battles. And what we learn is Hayden's actually really good at this. Where Tomas Cruise is like, all these Mission Impossibles, I'm really doing all that stuff. Hayden's like, I'm really going to be doing these death-defying lightsaber battles.
Were they really death-defying? I'm not familiar with the stunt work here.
Oh, I mean, theoretically, you could get your hands cut off or your head. We saw that at the very beginning of the movie.
He definitely does not run like Tom Cruise. That scene at the beginning where him and the Palpatine are running. Oh gosh, Palpatine especially. But the effects work was no bueno in that part.
See.
And there's several scenes with Palpatine where it's a little rough when he's asked to do something active because he's an older guy.
Don't ask an older guy to do those things.
What else holds up? What else?
Natalie Portman.
For reals?
Yes.
That Natalie Portman held up to you.
Like, honestly, with that dialogue, yes.
You're giving her like a handicap, like a golf handicap. It's like, well, you know, considering what she had to work with.
Like, I believed she genuinely loved Anakin and her heart was giving out because she knows there's still good in him, but it's gone for now.
It's still so weird. It's still weird. I can't help but think of the first one when I'm watching this one.
I know, because like she's almost an adult in the first one, and little Annie is little.
Yeah. All right. It's your picks, man. Natalie Portman.
And probably Ewan.
Yeah, dude. Ewan McGregor is a treasure. That's what I thought when I was watching this. It's actually in my notes. Ewan McGregor is a treasure. When he delivers that line, hello there. That phrase delivered by Obi-Wan Kenobi, which has become a beloved meme and catchphrase within the Star Wars community. It's been acknowledged by Ewan himself. It only becomes a meme because he's so good at it. Because it's actually delivered. That line is delivered by Sir Alec Guinness in the originals. Mm-hmm. And it's only because he nails it. All his dialogue, he sounds like this dude.
Yes.
Which Ewan is Scottish, isn't he? Isn't that?
I believe so.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's crazy how good and how close he sounds to Sir Alec Guinness. And I'm just glad. I'm glad we got the Kenobi series. I may have been disappointed with it, about half of it, but none of the scenes with him and Hayden in it. Everything with him and Hayden in it was gold in that show. But everything else was kind of rough. I had what holds up the effects and cinematography. I talked about them a little bit. All of that really holds up. Despite being released back in 2005, Revenge of the Sith CGI visual effects are often praised for their quality. Some modern critics note that its effects hold up remarkably well. And I would say sometimes surpassing those in newer films, which... how does this happen?
You, Marvel.
Yeah, this film just looks gorgeous, Cody. And I thought that rewatching it here yesterday. And I feel like effects have gotten worse. Are we rushing movies too much now? Is it because they took their time?
I do think George Lucas has good visuals and he has good story.
Yeah,
it's just everything else around that might not always land.
Yeah. The battle scenes are all great. Yeah, you're right. The way he frames things, the cinematography is all wonderful. And I was just struck several times just watching it, just how beautiful everything looks. The Order 66 is still crazy effective. John Williams' score so masterfully creates like the sad backdrop there. It remains one of the sagas, all time. In all Star Wars movies, I think it's one of the more poignant moments. And John Williams just kind of makes it with this. There's a track on the original soundtrack called Anakin's Betrayal. That's the name of it. And his composition during that sequence is cited as a testament to his ability to convey complex emotions through music. And without that, it's not nearly as powerful. But I was really moved in that scene, watching it again and, feeling the music of John Williams. So I think, I thought that was great. The climactic Obi-Wan versus Anakin battle rivals any of the series, maybe supplants the Duel of the Fates in episode 1 as the best lightsaber battle in the entire saga.
I have the high ground.
Incredible choreography, and of course it beautifully revisits the Duel of the Fates music that was used in episode 1. On Mustafar, it's frequently hailed as some of the fans think it's the best one. Choreographer Nick Gilliard described the duel as akin to a tragic dance, emphasizing the emotional stakes and the characters' deep connection they had with each other. And so, did you know there was an alternative version that was filmed but didn't make it? An alternate version to the conclusion was considered where Obi-Wan would have disarmed Anakin differently. Well, that would have been different because he clearly dislegged him.
Ayo.
I didn't do. Nailed it. I like the high ground version better.
Yes. I at least get memes out of the high ground version, and also it explains why Darth Vader moves the way he moves in the original trilogy.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. The whole scene, that whole sequence is great. Let's move on to what doesn't hold up, Cody. What doesn't hold up?
George Lucas's dialogue.
Oh my gosh, still pretty clunky, isn't it?
Oh my, it's rough. And I know you looked at me like I was crazy when I said that Natalie Portman holds up, but it's because she's given the worst dialogue ever to try to make you feel emotions. And so her face acting is carrying a lot of scenes.
What's the worst dialogue? Do you have any in your notes? What's the worst dialogue in the movie?
Oh,
there's one pretty early on.
There's definitely one late on because my wife walked in as I was watching it and she was like, "Oh, who wrote this?"
George Lucas, baby. Use the ray shields. Cut to character immediately saying, ray shields. So I literally laughed out loud. My favorite Padme and Anakin, because a lot of the bad dialogue
is between these two. And like, this is supposed to be a vital part of Anakin's why he is motivated to go to the dark side. And you give me garbage in this.
The sequence where they're really stressing out about Anakin's dreams. And she says, I'm not going to die in childbirth. I promise. And then he says, no, I promise. I was like, neither one of you can actually say that.
They did, Dave.
Ridiculous dialogue. Every time General Grievous talks.
Yes.
You fool.
I'm like, either we need to de-emphasize him in his speech patterns or we need to give him some better dialogue. I did learn something, though, about George Lucas in his original trilogy dialogue, or his first movie dialogue for Yoda. Mm-hmm. That the reason Yoda speaks backwards is because, like, you can have excellent dialogue and people are going to skip right over it. Like, you can have them saying the most profound things. But
when did that happen, George?
But when you like jumble it, people have to pay extra attention.
Yeah. You sent me that clip. He said Yoda's the philosopher of the movie.
Yes.
And so how do you get kids? He especially said kids, which I love that in his mind, these movies were always for kids.
Yes.
And he's like, how do you get kids to pay attention? Well, you say the words out of order.
And so, like, I give him a pass with all Yoda dialogue. But other people, there's no excuse. And also, the prequels and the sequels don't have potentially emotional scenes where Chewie's the only one that can talk and Chewie can't talk.
General Grievous's voice was provided by a guy named Matthew Wood, and he faced some criticism for, quote, lacking the gravitas expected of a major villain. And that kind of led me down the problem, I think, with the dialogue and some of the characters. This is how it should have been done, Cody. Darth Vader actually provides the perfect model for this, and they apparently didn't realize it. You find the best actor you can that has a distinct voice, because James Earl Jones was so great he could make the dialogue believable. Ian McDiarmid, too.
Yes.
Ian McDiarmid in this movie, everything he delivers sounds good. And if you really analyze the dialogue, it's nonsense.
Especially during the Mace Windu showdown.
Yeah, right. Like, have you ever heard the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise? I mean, some of his dialogue is just as clunky, but because he's a great actor,
yes,
and has there's something about the sound of it too. And poor Hayden Christensen, who's a 19-year-old playing a 19-year-old, basically. Yes. He and Natalie Portman, to some extent, for me, they just don't have that like gravitas in their voice enough to make this dialogue sound believable. Although Natalie Portman does a better job of it for sure.
Katharine Hepburn was already dead.
Annie, I love you. You're breaking my heart. Okay, what else does... I don't know where my Katharine Hepburn impression came from, but what else doesn't hold up?
Some of the looks of the characters that we go with, but Lucas has always like played around with that. That is true to the originals, but at the same time, I'm like, well, why do they look like Quasimodo? They're robots.
Who made these robots, by the way?
Yeah.
The Trade Federation, just as a whole, is it all those weird looking squid dudes?
That's a good question.
That talk like they're from the Caribbean? Or no, not Caribbean, Far East. That Lucas got in some trouble for that. We talked a little bit about that in The Phantom Menace. That's toned back, by the way, in this movie. He listened to that critique.
Well, that's good.
Because they do have a little speaking, but it's not nearly as bad. What else? What else doesn't hold up?
Oh, it's really hard to move past the dialogue. Also, the logic of everyone involved. I mean, it leads to where it leads. And so it works in that regard, but at the same time, like, oh, like you all are Jedi. Like, you guys should know better than this. Nope. We're going to make every foolish mistake left and right and say it like out loud. And I'm like, Mace, you are a master.
Yeah. Why is everyone so dumb? Why are the Jedi so dumb? Like, listen, it concerns me that Anakin doesn't have more of a reaction to Palpatine just randomly starting to tell him Sith fables.
Yes.
I mean, it seems like he's a bit thick, right? 30 minutes after Sith bedtime stories, he finally tells Mace, I think he's a Sith. and then Mace is like, a Sith? Are you sure? Like, he's really dubious. And I'm just like, what are we doing? We knew there was a Sith. We knew that at the end of episode 1.
Yes.
What? Well, this isn't a shock. What is happening?
Even Master Yoda, in his infinite wisdom, is making some interesting choices. I'm like, come on. Like, either these guys have it together, or I don't know why we're over romanticizing it.
Yeah, it was weird. Ray shields. The first action sequence, wow, does that not hold up?
No, it does not.
First of all, it takes like 30 minutes. It's like paint by numbers. It's so generic. I feel bad saying that with the effects, because the effects, of course, are good.
And I really love Christopher Lee as an actor. Phenomenal in Lord of the Rings. But, like, you have him, you have Ian. They're both too old to be doing this stuff.
It feels like he mailed it in. He's like, I got one sequence here.
Yep.
Just give me my paycheck.
Oh, you cut my hands off.
Nobody has the effect of getting their hands cut off in Star Wars that they should.
Like, oh, that happened.
Except for Darth. Mm-hmm. Remember in Return of the Jedi when Luke cuts his hands off? He's like, oh. It's like, yeah, well, okay. Why is it only him there? Because like Mace Windu gets his hand cut off here and he's like, that hurt a little, but I'm going to keep going. I'm like, what? And then, yeah, Count Dooku loses both hands and he just like has this incredulous look like someone just stole his butter pat for his waffles. Why'd you just take my butter?
I think part of it is you went too old with some of the thespians that are there, even though they do have the gravitas to deliver the clunky lines that you have given them. But then it's like too long, too drawn out, and like too basic.
Yeah. Let's talk about General Grievous's anatomy for a second.
That's weird.
What the heck is he? I guess he's a cyborg, although he doesn't have much actual tissue, except for apparently what looks like a potato-sized heart.
And maybe some intestines.
And what is that heart doing exactly? Like, what? I don't understand.
I don't know where it's pumping.
And if it's so vulnerable, why isn't it protected better? What?
Well, because you're not supposed to be able to pull the metal flaps back.
But it looked pretty easy to do.
Yeah, well, why does the Death Star have one spot that you can just blow the whole thing up at?
Yeah. Padme dies of sadness. I'm sorry, what now?
So that's a real thing.
Whoa. Oh, okay. All right. Let's clear the floor for therapist Cody. Tell us why dying of sadness is a real thing.
So people that have faced significant loss, their health can significantly decline. Your heart's held in place by like stringy muscle fibers and stuff. Those tear, and like you can literally die of a broken heart. Wow. That's not just an expression. I can't remember which. It was either a composer or an artist, because I learned about it in grade school. Because we had a substitute teacher that was like, he died because of this. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what?
Wow.
And then like there's been movies and TV shows that have talked about, like, after a tremendous sadness, your body can just literally give up.
Okay. I strike that from what doesn't hold up. Wow. Okay.
George actually has a tremendous, he's saying that there's such a caring, compassionate heart within Padme for Anakin that losing him literally is going to kill her. And so I was good with it.
Good. Okay. That's good to know. All right. That changes my whole depiction of that end scene. But there is one scene that stuck out to me this time that never had before that we need to talk about. And this one might have been the worst for me. This is the worst what doesn't hold up.
Oh.
And it's the youngling scene.
So that one always hasn't held up for me.
But this time it really didn't hold up because, well, where do I begin? I think this scene is stupid. This is stupid. They're trying to shock you, but this actually works backwards. Having Anakin kill kids makes him look weak. You send the clone troopers to kill the kids. They're mindless. They're automatons. Like, it makes no sense to have Anakin kill the younglings, except for you wanted this to be his BA moment. But instead of making him looked at, makes him look weak. You're using the power of Vader to kill kids, and that doesn't make the character of Vader look powerful. And by the way, seriously cheapens his redemption in Return of the Jedi. Oh, big deal. He saves his own son? Dude killed kids. Woof. That does not hold up. That's a major misstep in storytelling, in my opinion.
I was wondering, but they don't flesh it out. But Palpatine talks about, like, being able to absorb midichlorians from other force-bearing people. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering if Anakin carrying that out is absorbing all these kids' midichlorians and upping his.
That'd be fine if you're going to tell us that.
They did not spell that out, so that is just me trying to help George.
Yeah, I mean, give us some reasoning of why. I mean, he's just gone over to the dark side. Judging by his conversation with Padme when she first gets to Mustafar, before he sees Obi-Wan, he has not lost all control. Mm-hmm. So, like, that was just super weird. And, yeah, I'm not down with it. But even as disappointed I was with that, it cannot equal the disappointment of, no! That is a travesty, Cody. Even if he doesn't say no, even if he just yells, if he just goes, ah, like some sort of frustrated yell, anything but that. The no is so weird. And I don't know. I just, like, that doesn't fit with Anakin's character at all at that point, or any point that he would have that sort of reaction.
So I do have a question, because I also thought that this was super weird dialogue. When Yoda's giving Obi-Wan his secret mission while on Tatooine, mm-hmm. That you have an old friend, your old master, Qui-Gon, is back from the dead.
But he doesn't say it, does he? He doesn't say Qui-Gon. An old friend has found a new way to communicate, right? Something like that. Well,
in the Disney Plus version,
yes, in the series, he comes back.
No, yeah. In the Disney Plus version of this movie, he does say it after the old friend line. He says, Qui-Gon's back.
Did they add that?
I don't know.
Oh, I don't remember that.
But I had to look, and I was like, when does The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe come out? Because quite literally, they're making Qui-Gon sound like Jesus in this movie.
And in that one, he literally is.
And so, yeah. It comes out in 2005, but it's in December.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, Do you think that they knew that The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was going to have Qui-Gon?
Maybe. And listen, Liam Neeson's voice is heavenly.
It is.
You can't argue that. Cody, it's time for Which Character Would You Be? Which character would you be in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith? Jar Jar is not in this movie, just so we're clear.
Jar Jar is. He makes a brief appearance.
Darn it. I was hoping you wouldn't notice.
I definitely did. I'm going to be Jimmy Smits' character.
Oh, but Jimmy Smits' character from Law and Order.
Or like any other Jimmy Smits show.
You are very Jimmy Smits-like.
No, I think I would be him. That like, I'm going to try to fight the good fight. I'm going to get myself into trouble, as we heard at the very beginning of this podcast.
The part where he witnesses one of the younglings getting killed by the clone troopers, the way it should have been on the outside, and he like scrambles into his speeder car and like falls across the dash. That reminded me of you.
Exactly. But he also like would step up at the end and it's like, we'll raise one of the two.
Yeah.
We always wanted a daughter. Kick rocks, Luke.
Yeah. Even in those little things, he's not getting lines that are obviously well written, but it's Jimmy Smits, man. He makes it honorable and it has gravitas.
So yes, I'll be that senator, since I'm not going to choose to be one of the Jedi Masters or the guy that was hoping to become a Jedi Master and failed.
Cody is Mace Windu. No. Cody is Senator Bail Organa. That's a good fit. I gave this some real thought, Cody. Some deep, meaningful thought. And the answer is pretty clear. I'm Chewbacca. Think about it. I'm loyal. I'm the guy you want when things get kind of weird. The hyperdrive fails. Your plan hinges on punching a stormtrooper in the face. You need somebody who's not going to flake when the blasters come out, and that's me. I'm hairy. I'm dependable. I'm sometimes growly.
When Yoda's about to leave, I have the only dialogue and you don't understand what I'm saying.
I understand. I'm crafty. I can fix things sometimes. I also break things sometimes at the same times. And frankly, that's a talent. Chewie is the ultimate get it done guy. He's not about the flashy heroics.
Otherwise, I might be the other Wookiee.
What was his name? I don't remember.
Other Wookiee.
Other Wookiee. Chewie's about loyalty, heart, and just enough questionable decision making to keep it spicy. And yeah, Cody, I'm hairy. Let's just acknowledge it and get it out in the open. If you put me in a lineup with other actors for a new Star Wars joint, they are immediately fitting me for a jaunty Wookiee bandolier. That's the thing across the chest. Did you know that?
Well, just learned something new then.
At the end of the day, Chewbacca's ride or die, man. He's a ride or die friend. And he will roar. He will help you move heavy stuff. And he still saves you a seat in the front with him. And if that's my Star Wars spirit animal, I'm good with it. Is it wrong to call Chewie an animal? Is that bad?
I think Chewie's an animal.
He's like a humanoid animal. All right. Time for Pastor's Corner. Deeper themes. Cody, I love the presentation of emotions in Star Wars, especially as it relates to the Jedi. Their relinquishing of all emotions clearly leaves them with deficits that are explored throughout this story and many of the Star Wars stories. So the audience can see that emotions aren't evil, that they have use. But
yes,
the audience through the story of Anakin Skywalker also sees that too much emotion has a price. And in the end, we risk giving ourselves over to those emotions completely. And I just think that's brilliant because that's reality. That's real life.
Again, my dear friend George, he has some good story ideas.
Yeah.
Dialogue.
We just can't get past the dialogue. It's so bad. Cody, who's your winner of the movie?
I'm going to go with someone that's briefly in it. R2-D2. Most important character probably in all of Star Wars.
Are we good with that? Do we like him being the most important character? Because I agree. Without R2-D2, there's about 12 times in the 3 trilogies where they're all dead.
Yep. Otherwise, you gotta go Palpatine, and I'm going R2D2. Also, his dialogue was not clunky.
He just beeps and boops, man. My winner of the movie is George Lucas. He finishes his grand vision, sells Lucasfilm, gets very rich, and can ride off in the sunset and not have to pay attention to what Disney does to it.
Yep.
And, I'm not here to say that all Star Wars is terrible now, but as bad as the dialogue is in the prequels, there's still something about them that I think is better than most of the content that Disney puts out. Because say what you want about the dialogue and about the things Lucas isn't good at, it just has this charm. There's something to it that makes it likable. Like, I've seen Attack of the Clones numerous times. It's a terrible movie.
Terribly awesome.
And I can't stop watching it. So I don't know what to tell you. There's just something about it.
Again, my dear friend George knows the story points and feels and knows how to frame the shot. It's just getting you to that point with the dialogue.
Yeah.
He struggled buses.
Who's the loser of the movie?
His name's George Lucas.
Oh, snap!
So not only is the dialogue trash, which I don't know if you've heard me say.
Not gonna argue.
But he ruined another trilogy by having more movies.
Yeah. What happens if they never make the prequel trilogy? I mean, I think Disney's. We said maybe he doesn't sell, but do you think he makes a sequel trilogy at some point if he doesn't make the prequel trilogy?
I mean, he's always going to get pressure to come back and revisit it. But if we look at a trilogy that has an awful third movie, but like is universally considered a good trilogy, The Godfather. No one's asking to remake The Godfather or have sequels and prequels. Just Godfather 1, 2, and if you must, 3.
Yeah.
And
the sequel trilogy, really, the first 2 movies are decent. They're all right.
They're all right. But at the same time, where you get left off at the end of the third original film, it's like, we're good.
Yeah. I sometimes wish there was so much good extended universe material that came out in the forms of books and Heir to the Empire, things like that, where I kind of wish they never made the sequel trilogy, or if they did, they would have tried recasting some of the parts that would have been necessary to recast and make it closer to the end of the original trilogy. I don't know. But yeah. My loser of the movie was Hayden Christensen.
He was a close second for me, but I didn't want to put that shame on him.
Yeah, I'm not putting any shame on him. I just remember people's reaction to these movies, and I just wanted to make him the loser of the movie so I can say how glad I am he's getting another chance in Star Wars. And not just another chance, but he's kind of the linchpin of the Ahsoka show. Like, they're bringing him back for Ahsoka season 2. Like, he's a big part of that, obviously being Ahsoka's master in a way, her mentor. And I think he really is better than what he got to show. The Kenobi series, mixed bag, but everything with him and Ewan McGregor was great. And so I'm just glad I liked watching him in this movie, and I like that he's getting another chance to be Anakin Skywalker and to redeem himself.
An almost winner for me was the name Cody, because there's a Commander Cody.
Commander Cody.
And I'm like, there's like 2 other movies that even mention my name.
If we knew someone who was great with technology, we should ask him to do a rough cut of this movie, except put your face on all the clone troopers instead of Boba Fett.
Ayo.
All right. How many out of 10 are you giving this movie? What's the rating for this movie?
Okay.
Cody looks tired.
I don't want to be rude, so I will grade it on a curve.
Okay.
So, in light of Star Wars episodes 1 through 9, I will go like a solid 7.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
If we're going off of there's other films existing throughout the pantheon of cinema, it probably falls down to like a 5.5.
Let's reframe the question, because I realized something watching this movie after we did The Phantom Menace last year.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the best movie in the prequel trilogy? Because I'm not so sure. I think The Phantom Menace might be a little better.
I would say it's at least neck and neck. Phantom Menace is, because the people that are like, oh, this is clearly the best. I'm like, I don't know if I would go clearly. And I know I was joking about the second one being the best.
No,
but
it's not. It's the worst.
It literally is not that far off from the second one for me.
Yeah. The Attack of the Clones is the second worst movie in the saga, behind Rise of Skywalker. Like, it's almost that bad.
Yeah, I really could do without 1 through 3 or 6
altogether.
Or yeah.
I would give this movie a 5.5.
Hey, that's where I existed with other films.
Yeah. I just think it's okay. It's slightly above average, I suppose, for like your average fantasy kind of geek movie, but it just seems like they really fumble the bag. Mm-hmm. Like, you have a story that everybody was into. Like, Anakin becoming Darth Vader. Geeks, we're all into it. Tell us how it happened. And it seems like kind of a fumble. This movie has really good moments. There's really good things in this. But yeah, it's first of all, it's way too long. It's like George thought he was telling you this Shakespearean tale, and it's really not that deep.
No.
And there's just too much. There's too much here. There were good moments separated by a lot of boring filler for me. Mm-hmm. And my son felt the same way. He's 6, so he didn't tell me that. I just knew, because he would lose focus. He would go off and do something else. Then a fight would happen. He'd come back in. And like, don't tell me he's too young, man. I was super into Return of the Jedi at 6 years old.
I was going to say, like, even though my parents weren't into Star Wars, it did come on in my household, and I watched the original trilogy, like with all the commercials back in the day. Mm-hmm. But I was glued. And so, again, it doesn't fully capture that essence of the original trilogy. It does feel like a cash grab. Like 20 years later, and 20 years ago, young Cody was saying, this is a cash grab.
Cody's got strong feelings. He's not backing off it.
Nope.
What did you guys think? What do you, the listener, think of Revenge of the Sith? Is it one of your favorites? It would probably depend on when you were born, I guess. I think a lot of millennials like this, Cody.
So technically, when this comes out, I'm 16, but the first one, whenever it came out, I'm a lot younger. Yeah. So I knew it was a cash grab then.
All right. Tell us what you think in the posts, the social media posts for this episode, or anywhere where you can leave comments on where the pod drops. And we'll look forward to next week. Thunderbolts review coming out next week. Make sure and mark your calendar for the Friday drop.
Thunderbolt Ross.
We'll see you next time. He's not in it.
Pop culture pastor. Pop culture pastor.